Welcome back to Product X, the show where we decode the next big thing in tech before it happens. I'm Rena. Today we're diving into a story that's sending ripples through Silicon Valley. A stealth startup called Centralize just closed a massive $15 million Series A, led by NEA, with Stewart Butterfield personally investing, and they're tackling something every sales team fears: losing a $1 million deal because you didn't know who actually held the purse strings. The founders? Ex-Meta and ex-Slack engineers who built products used by hundreds of millions. Their revenue grew 8x in a year. So, Vivian, want to kick us off?
Hey, Rena. Hey, Nolan. Thanks for having me. I'm an angel investor at Pre-Angel Fund. And honestly, when I saw this round, I immediately wanted to understand what made Slack's own founder write a check. These founders don't just talk the talk on AI, they've shipped products at massive scale. That's what drew me in.
Great to be here, Rena. I'm Nolan, formerly leading architecture at a couple of big tech companies, and I spend my time now digging into exactly how these systems work under the hood. This one interested me because they're not just adding AI to CRM, they're rebuilding the whole data model from scratch. That's rare.
So let's get into it. Vivian, the first thing that jumps out is the investor syndicate, NEA, Salesforce Ventures, Stewart Butterfield personally. The CRM market is dominated by giants. Why are these players throwing heavyweight capital at a new entrant in 2026?
Here's the thing, it's all about the structural gap they're filling. Legacy CRMs were built for a world where one sales rep called on one decision maker. That world doesn't exist anymore. Buying committees have doubled in size over the past decade. We're talking procurement, legal, XTO, Crow, all needing to sign off on a $1 million deal. A spreadsheet can't track that. NEA sees this as a $10 billion problem with zero good solutions.
Right, and from the tech side, that's exactly the bottleneck. Old CRMs are static databases. You input a contact, it sits there until you update it. But human relationships are fluid. Someone gets promoted, someone leaves, priorities shift. Centralize is essentially building a system that breathes. It ingests emails, meeting transcripts, calendar changes, and shown goes the power map in real time. That's a fundamentally different engineering problem than save this contact.
Nolan, you mentioned engineering. Let's dig into the architecture because the video description calls this a deal GPS. What does that actually mean technically?
Great question. The core is a dynamic knowledge graph. Traditional CRMs store rows and columns. Centralize builds a multi-dimensional graph where nodes are people, edges are relationships, and edge weights change based on communication frequency, sentiment, and recency. So if your champion suddenly goes silent for 2 weeks, the system flags it. If a VP of legal suddenly appears on a calendar invite they weren't on before, the graph updates instantly. It's not just storage, it's active inference.
And financially, that matters because it changes who uses the tool. Legacy sales software only gets used by sales because it's per seat pricing. Why pay for legal to have a license? Centralize offers unlimited seats under their AUM model. Suddenly, customer success, product, even legal can see the same account map. That drives viral adoption inside the enterprise, which is exactly why their NRR is through the roof.
So they're not just selling to sales teams, they're selling to the whole buying committee. Vivian, you've analyzed a ton of PLG plays. How risky is this AUM pricing model? It's a departure from the SaaS seat tax everyone knows.
It's a bold bet, but here's the math. If you're charging per seat, you're capped by headcount. If you're charging by assets under management, essentially the deal value you're tracking, you align your revenue with client success. When the deal grows, they pay more. When they win, you win. It's almost like a success fee. For a startup chasing enterprise deals, that's smarter than hoping they'll add 5 more seats next quarter. And they're offering a free single-player tier, which is pure PLG bottom-up growth. Get one rep hooked, and they'll pull in the whole team.
I'd add that from a product standpoint, unlimited seats actually makes the graph richer. More users means more signal. More signal means better recommendations. The network effect is built into the pricing model itself. That's clever engineering translated into business strategy.
Now, let's talk competitive landscape. The description mentions CoreWeave and Cognition as clients. These are hot AI unicorns. Why are companies valued at billions choosing Centralize over established players?
Because legacy CRMs solve a reporting problem, not a winning problem. A VP of sales wants dashboards. A seller wants to know who to call this afternoon. Centralize answers the second question. For AI companies moving at hyperspeed, they don't have time for form filling. They need real-time intelligence. That's why the product-led growth is working. Engineers at these companies try it. I love it. And spread it internally within days.
And honestly, the legacy players are stuck. They have decades of technical debt. Rewriting a CRM from a relational database to a knowledge graph while maintaining backward compatibility? That's a decade-long project. Centralize has a greenfield advantage. They built the right thing from day one.
One more topic before we wrap the main discussion. Nolan, in the video, you mentioned something about Federated Prediction across privacy walls. That sounds like the next frontier. What are we talking about there?
So here's the wild part. Once you have enough anonymized signal across thousands of enterprises, you can start spotting patterns. If 5 companies in the same industry suddenly start delaying renewals, that's a weak signal of market contraction. But to extract that, you need cross-tenant learning while keeping every company's data completely isolated. That's a hard engineering problem. If they crack it, Centralize stops being just a GPS and becomes a predictive oracle for B2B commerce itself.
And that's the exit story, honestly. Oracle for B2B spending? That's a public company. That's the vision they're funding.
Okay, lightning round time. Quick answers, no overthinking. Vivian, first question. What's the one thing about the founders that convinced you this team could pull it off?
They shipped at metascale and slack scale. That's rare, the Shuangchong Beijing. Enough said.
Nolan, same question. What's the most impressive technical thing Centralize has built?
The real-time graph recomputation. Maintaining edge weights as data streams in, not batched nightly? That's hard. Most teams would batch it. They didn't.
Vivian, second question. Biggest risk factor in this business?
Enterprise sales cycles. They grew 8x, but from a small base. Scaling the sales team without killing unit economics is the classic growth trap.
Nolan, biggest technical risk?
Data ingestion. Getting deep API access into every company's email and calendar is a scaling nightmare. Every enterprise has weird legacy systems.
Third question. Vivian, which company is most scared right now? Salesforce, Gong, or someone else?
Honestly, Gong. They do activity tracking, but they don't do power mapping. If Centralize eats upstream, Gong becomes optional.
I'd actually say Salesforce. They're the incumbent. They have the most to lose if the CRM definition changes.
Fourth question. Nolan, give me one feature you wish every startup founder would stop building.
Dashboards. Nobody needs another dashboard. Build something people use every day, not something managers review weekly.
Vivian, last one. If Centralize fails, what's the most likely cause?
They get acquired for IP, and the founders cash out. But if they stay independent and fail, it's because enterprise sales proved harder than product engineering. Always is.
All right, let's close this out. Vivian, in one sentence, what's the big takeaway from today's conversation?
Centralize is betting that AI can finally solve the oldest problem in sales, knowing who actually has the power to say yes and the market is responding.
The technical takeaway is that they're not adding AI to CRM, they're replacing the data model entirely with knowledge graphs. And that's a generational shift.
Well said, both of you. Thanks for breaking down the deal GPS with us. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit subscribe and join us next time on Product X. See you then.